Did you have, Laura, in your personal journey here on this planet, any pivotal moment or revelation that made you into the leader you are today?
Well, I think there were probably a number of pivotal moments and a building. And having come from a background that, you know, I would say not as traumatic as some, but not as gracious as others, you know. I think everybody on the planet at this time has inner healing to do in their early childhood and their family. And that process for me was always very present. Even as a child, I noticed that I was connecting with Source. You know, I was connecting with God, I was connecting with life, and I was also doing what I would call energy work, though I didn't recognize it as such. You know, there's a couple of moments, one at 3 when I was talking to God with my parents in the car and saying something, you know, asking God to do something and talking to my parents about it, you know, that was just sort of like from somewhere. And then when I was about 7, I noticed myself doing energy work where I would imagine a screen and I would rake it through my body at night before I went to sleep, cleansing my aura. Of course, no one had ever told me about cleansing or auras at that time. And then at age 16, I was undergoing a process that I initiated for myself called writing it out, where I was working on my issues that had come up with my life with my mom and dad and my family at that time. I would write out all the feelings that I was having to get it out of me and clear myself. So, you know, clearly I'm on a path of healing from an early age. And then by the time I was in my teens, I was really feeling strongly the connection with the earth and the Native American ancestors, and I was feeling quite honestly outraged by what I was understanding to be my ancestors' behavior toward the indigenous peoples of the earth. And it took me a while of looking and learning, because at that point I was extremely angry with God. I was extremely angry with Jesus. You know, I was like, how could you allow this to happen? You know, and I had to go through this whole series of learning about all the different religions of the planet, Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, the Native American path, all these things, until I came full circle to realize that it's not Jesus, it's not God, it's not any of these other things. It's how we as individuals have behaved. It's how we have taken spiritual teachings and really turned them in a way that's against the spiritual teachings themselves, that have caused people to behave in atrocious ways toward one another, such as takeovers of native lands and, you know, this sort of arrogant thinking that allows people to come in and kill others. And, you know, it's obviously been a trend on the planet. So I had to undergo my own personal healing around these things, and also to realize that from all of the traditions, Native American, indigenous, Hindu, Buddhist, you know, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, there's things to move forward with, and there's things perhaps to leave behind. So at this point on the planet, people can choose a religion, or they can choose to just sort of be spiritual within, or maybe connect with nature. And if we're wanting to honor these deep traditions, to sort of select what is the core truth that's common between all of them. What is Spirit really saying to us? I mean, I think one of the core things is, you know, love one another, connect with Source in some way, whatever that means to you. You know, it can be said in many ways by different religions. You know, connect with nature and connect with each other. And then everything's going to be all right. Because if we do these things, then we won't be able to harm each other, quite honestly. That's how it goes. If we have that Source connection, if we're loving the earth we live on, if we're being kind and recognizing ourselves in each other, then we won't be able to harm others. It just doesn't happen when you're in that vibration. So that's the distilled teaching from all of these different types of religions. And so as I was moving through this process as a teenager, I encountered several teachers, some in the more shamanic realms, who actually ignited in me, I must say activated some abilities that I've been expanding on ever since. That I really just, I don't really offer healing per se to the world. It just sort of shows up when people need it. It happens. And then the other healing that I'm doing more out in the world has to do with helping people find leadership roles in events and things like that. And so anyway, that takes us to the mid-20s, when I had a teacher named Kinja, who was of the Taoist tradition, and he started teaching me Qigong and more of energy circulation and how to get in shape physically, and sort of helping me to recognize that there's more to life than just this planet, that there's a greater cosmosphere, of beings, and and I just wanted to find out more about that for myself. So subsequently, over upcoming years, I did my deep study, and I spent a number of years inwardly by myself. And that's my first book, Return to Center, came out of that time period where I was celibate and really just studying with Kinja in this 4-year period, and just really being very, very much like in a cave with myself. And then I later came out. So those are some of the pivotal moments that sort of set me forward on this path, all the while with just a desire to make a difference. And so I feel grateful that I have that desire. So for whatever reason, Spirit has graced me with the desire to be of service at this time.